Hi everybody, welcome to Theo and Olaf. My name is Irene. With me is Olaf, our Samoyed doggy. And today we'll be doing a dedicated video on what Olaf is like after being neutered. It's been about 6 months since Olaf has been neutered, so we have a pretty good sense now in terms of what has changed and what hasn't changed with Olaf. Let's first talk about the things that have changed. So the first thing that's really changed is Olaf's appetite. So previously, Olaf wasn't very food motivated. We would do a song and dance more or less to convince him to eat. And sometimes he would just walk away from his meals, and that would be very frustrating. But now Olaf is just always hungry. He's so excited to eat his meals. After eating, sometimes he waits by the pantry for a second dinner or a snack. So he's always food motivated now, which is kind of nice too, because now we don't have to convince him to eat, but he's just always hungry. We have to make sure that we don't overfeed him. The other noticeable difference with Olaf is that he's a lot fluffier than before. So this could also be due to the weather, because we now live in the Pacific Northwest. Olaf was neutered right before winter. But if you compare the before and after photos, Olaf has really filled in with his coat. And a lot of Samoyed owners get concerned when it comes to neutering or spaying their dog because of this coat change and the coat possibly being harder to maintain. But for us, the maintenance is more or less the same. Olaf has always had a mix of different textures with his fur. He has a little bit of a cottony, wispy puppy coat, and softer fur, but it's more or less been the same for us. Now let's talk about the things that have not changed after neutering Olaf. So the main thing that hasn't changed is Olaf's personality. He's still a goofy boy that always wants to play, and his energy levels are pretty much the same. He can really be super active, turns on right away, and he also really turn off like this and just rest. One little thing I've noticed though is that Olaf tends to nap a little bit more after being neutered, but he's not drowsy or super sleepy. He just naps a little bit more than before. The one thing I want to emphasize is that neutering has not calmed Olaf down. He's still pretty high energy. He still requires a lot of training, so that's just something to keep in mind if you're considering neutering your dog to change their energy levels. One thing that also hasn't changed is the amount of marking that Olaf wants to do. So after Olaf got neutered, within the first week or so, he didn't really mark as much anymore, but once he healed up, he immediately went back to marking as before. So if that's something you're concerned about, that may not change for you as well. Lastly, we hope that by neutering Olaf, dogs would stop lunging at or bullying Olaf, but we notice that dogs still have a tendency to bark at Olaf. Luckily, Olaf doesn't really respond too much, but that's one thing we hope would change, but did not. So that's it for our summary in terms of how Olaf is like after being neutered. One thing I want to emphasize is that every dog is different, so just because Olaf is this way, it may not be the same result for you, but hopefully this was a useful data point for you. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching.